Alright guys, I'm going to do a simple slurry lather today with the Chiseled Face Midnight Stag. Timeless open comb stainless steel version, 68 gap. Got the Nacet blade in it. The Taj handle, the Semogue Owners Club boar brush. He's been soaking for plenty of time. And 584 looks like the count for today's shave. But as always, my computer app I have keeps the count, and so whenever I paste everything, it makes sure that the description and the title is accurate. And soap is looking good, just gradually eating it down. It takes a long time to get through a good soap, for me at least. And so I finally did kill last year the tub that I had before of the Midnight Stag. So let me get my face wet. Pretty much a saturated brush at this point. Give it a couple shakes. Let's try that. 10, 20. Let's see if that'll be enough. I think I did 22, 23 yesterday. So all other things being equal, this should be about right. I have noticed a big difference in boar brushes when you pre-soak them for just a couple minutes versus when you soak them for 15. But I have not noticed a big difference in something like half an hour of soaking or 20 minutes maybe, and a day. I have not noticed that. Now, slurry lather, I went a little farther than I usually do, or than you need to here, and so it's less translucent, and it's actually kind of along the mid stage where it's almost ready to become a mature lather. I once soaked a boar brush for 1 or 2 days, and it honestly, it didn't change the brush by a noticeable amount at all. You'll definitely, if you soak it a short amount of time, like just a minute or two, you will definitely get a stiffer brush. And you'll notice, as long as you use enough water during your shave, that the brush will get softer as you go. That may be a way to figure out a good amount to soak your brush beforehand, is to remember how it felt before the shave, or the first pass of the shave, and then think about how it feels at the end of the shave. If there's a difference, then maybe soak longer. When you get to the point where you soak it long enough where there's no difference, then that's probably the maximum amount you need to worry about. Of course, that also means if you like a stiffer brush, you may not want to soak it for as long. Quick splash of water here. But if you don't soak it for as long, it may eat up some of your lather as it absorbs in the fibers and stuff. All right. Also, the Gentleman's Nod brand of shaving soap contains dimethicone or something like that, and it's a silicone-like substance that I would not advise you to use with boar brushes, because it blocks the pores, and the whole function of a boar brush, its whole awesome nature, is to absorb the water and then change its shape you know, that kind of thing. However, if you want a boar brush that acts more like a synthetic in terms of being stiffer, then maybe use that kind of product, and it would keep the bristles from absorbing as much and make it be, you know, maybe you like that kind of scritchy, scratchy, really stiff bristled brush. I mean, in a sense, there's nothing wrong in this hobby. It's just finding ways to enjoy what you have, customize things according to your preferences. Water. Yeah, so this has been a good slurry lather today. A little richer than usual, or should I say a little quicker to get richer than usual. And what is this, everything's going so quickly, I'm losing track of my passes. I think this may be number 3. Man, I am sore from the moving yesterday. My goodness. Probably more sore tomorrow, right? Because in the second day, really when you get the maximum soreness. It was just so wonderful. My friends came over. I have we call it a small group that our church does, where we people divide up instead of the traditional Sunday school that people used to grow up with, and I grew up with. We do small groups once a week, and you know, because big churches sometimes it's hard to get to know people. But if you get together with 10 or 20 people, and we have a meal, and then we do our Bible study, and you just get to go be great friends and all that. And so they came over. Most of them came over and helped me move, and man, that was such it just kind of blows you away because of the amount of work that when your friends help you out so much, you know. It's one thing when a friend, loans you some $20, or when a friend comes over and helps you move a couch. That's one thing. But when it's such a big deal, when it takes kind of all day and everybody's exhausted and nobody expects anything in return, it just you kind of sit there in the aftermath being blessed, and you're like, holy cow, how can I pay these people back? And all that, but you don't need to, because they're just doing it out of love and kindness. And so I'm just kind of reeling in that gratitude here, probably for the next couple days here. It's just a very real feeling of a sense of gratitude there. And there we go, folks. Got a good rinse there. Did I? There we go. Yeah, with my gray, it's Sometimes it's hard to make sure I get a good rinse. All right, boys and girls, 20 rotations there on the soap. And I've still got another pass or two probably of lather there, and this isn't even squeezed out. You know, I could do a squeeze and have plenty of lather, so I can keep reducing that load time if I want. Here's what the soap looks like after. So yeah, I'm definitely imparting some moisture to the soap. Seal that up, ready for tomorrow. Loosen the razor a little bit. Give it a good rinse, shake, and put safely somewhere where kids won't discover it. All right, I'm going to clean up my gear. All right, so here's the big knot after a hairdryer treatment. It just looks glorious. I wanted to mention one little thing about bore brushes is that with the higher quality makers, you will have very few, not all that many upside down bristles in your knot, because that's what they do. They filter through them. Maybe they have a machine that does it. Maybe they do it by hand, but you won't have that too many times. With the cheaper knots, you will have that more usually. And the way to spot them is the tips don't really come to a point, but it's more squared off, and they're often easy to spot, especially once the tips start to split, because those ends, I think it's really hard to get them to split. And so what I usually do is just kind of reach down and find the hair, find that bristle, pull it over to the side, and then snip really close to the knot. Some people pull them out. I'm not going to say that's the best way to go, because I think that may loosen the glue bump. Because if there's another hair beside that one, I think it might be easier for it to dislodge and come loose if now it's got a little hole because one has been pulled out. On the other hand, if it's upside down, then the hole it's in is kind of small anyway, because it's the good tip that is down in there that's very thin. So maybe it's not a big deal. So that's one way to go. I choose to do more cutting than to leave that base part in there so that it keeps the glue bump all together without any holes in it. So that's a maintenance thing to do on your bore brushes, and I have definitely had brushes that changed dramatically once I went through and found as many as I could and clipped them out. And because those really do give a sense of prickle. And so if you like that sense, if you like that feel of a little bit of prickle, then leave them in there. That might be what you want. But if you're looking for luxury and kind of softness and that sort of thing, then you can cut those guys out of there. So that's something you can do with bores. And there are just thousands of hairs in a brush, and so you don't, even if you're cutting out 200, it's just not a big deal at all. So the splash. Midnight Stag from Chiseled Face is the splash and cologne and soap for this month. Fortunately, I was very glad when we were moving yesterday and it turned out not to be a really hot day. It wasn't nearly as bad as even it was 4 days ago, so that was a blessing. Cologne, we didn't have to add any water to the shave, and I think even all through 5 passes there was plenty of water in the brush for everything I needed to do, so that was good. All right. The one lightly embarrassing thing is about having a big shaving den like I do with over 650 soaps and 80 razors or more is when your friends come and help you move and they don't understand because that's not their hobby, and to some people it's a ridiculous hobby, but they were kind and gracious, moved it anyway. All right, well, that's it for today's shave. Smelling good today. You guys, take care. Have a good night.